lovers, the moon is a thing of beauty. But to this man it is a deadly curse. When the moon is full, this miserable wretch turns into a hairy, snarling half-man, half-beast. Prowls the night, his fangs thirsty for human blood. He is a werewolf.
Hello and welcome to the Werewolf by Night podcast, the show where we talk about Marvel's number one lycanthrope, Jack Russell, aka the Werewolf, the Beast, and the Shaggy One. I'm your co-host, Matt Howell.
I'm your other host, Jacob Balcom.
Thank you for joining us this week, listeners. We're going to be talking about Werewolf by Night issue 16, and it's kind of a sad day for Jacob and I because this is where we bid a final adieu to the exceptional art of Mike Ploog.
Yeah, it's a big change from here on out. I mean, you know, we've gotten breaks from his artwork before that have most of the time been filled by pretty competent people. But yeah, this is his last issue. I thought I'd just, you know, kind of to mark this occasion, I went and kind of read a bunch of interviews with him, read kind of more of his books that I hadn't taken a look at. And yeah, you know, he's an interesting guy. He's a Minnesota farm kid who, as a young man, wasn't into comics. He didn't really read them. He said that I think it was when he reached his teens, he saw an issue of Boy Commandos by Simon and Kirby, and that kind of blew his mind and started him thinking about being an artist. But he didn't really start drawing comics for real until he was in his late 20s, kind of. He did some things while he was in the Marines, but he was a Marine for 10 years. And then, yeah, really started to be an artist in his late 20s, which is a little unusual in the comics field. Like the other artists that we've seen on this book so far all started in their teens, which I thought was interesting. And it's also funny, like, so Ploog's first actual comics job was working with Will Eisner, and he had no idea who Will Eisner was, which I just think is so awesome. And then, you know, he ended up at Marvel. He said that he worked nights there mostly and like didn't hang out in the bullpen very much. In interviews, he kind of comes off as a bit of a man's man, yet is also kind of really like sensitive and almost oblivious to like his own greatness and artistic talents. It was interesting to read these interviews. There's one in Comic Book Artist, number 2, I think. And he kind of tended to downplay his strengths as an artist. Like, I think he was saying that he was intimidated by other artists in the bullpen, like Barry Windsor Smith, which I totally get.
Yeah.
But, you know, I mean, Ploog is such an amazing artist. And he had some strong opinions on art and didn't seem to like people fucking with his pages.
Who does?
Again, who does? In that, in that interview with Comic Artist Magazine, I think it's from 98, he says about Marvel's then art director, all I remember was that when Johnny Romita became art director, he kept re-inking my pages with the wrong side of the brush, which used to really piss me off. He should really know the hairy end goes in the ink.
Wow.
That's some funny shit.
Holy shit.
Yeah, I thought that was so entertaining. But yeah, we'll talk more about his career after we go through this last issue.
Sounds good.
Yeah, we were talking about Romita, and again, I think this is on every issue that he's done this last run. He has had some alterations by John Romita on the cover.
Yeah, so let's talk about that cover. This is an interesting one. You can tell right away that is not a Ploog villain face or a werewolf face, but Topaz looks like it was untouched by Romita. But our image here is like we are pigeons or bats inside of the Notre-Dame bell tower, looking down from the rafters at one of the bells, and it's swinging wildly, and the werewolf is hanging from the lip of the bell while holding on to Topaz with his other arm. And meanwhile, standing on the top of the ringing bell is a hunchback, a very muscular, beefy hunchback, holding a curvy dagger that looks like a snake, like a wavy line, and swiping down to stab the werewolf. And below, there's floodlights shooting up and cops and police standing around, panicked. And the beams of the rafters are very heavily detailed, which you said is probably a Romita touch as well. It doesn't look like Ploogian lines to me.
No, Grand Comics Database said that, yeah, there was Romita alterations, like you said, on the Hunchback and on the Beast, and then on the backgrounds, definitely.
Yeah, I can see it. And the copy says, he lives again, Hunchback of Notre Dame. I think we need to address something. You are a learned man of the world. I'm an educated guy. We both know that it's Notre-Dame, Our Lady, right? We don't need to, but we're Americans. So can we just say Notre Dame?
I'm okay either way, but if you want to make the call that...
I don't want to... I feel like I sound like a twat saying Notre Dame the entire time. It's just like I'm not going to say comfortable. I know, you and I both know it's comfortable, but I say comfortable because I'm an American and I'm not a complete prick. So we're going to say Notre Dame, if that's okay. Or you can say whatever you want. I'm going to tell you how I'm going to do it. Okay. So your thoughts on this?
On the cover?
Yes.
Or the pronunciation?
Both.
I'm fine with Notre Dame. I was ready and prepared for both because, I never know which way you're going to go.
Yeah.
You keep me guessing all the time.
I'm mercurial.
Yeah. I really like this cover. I think it's great. It is interesting, and it must have been a little frustrating for Ploog to, turn in this final illustration on this cover and then, have someone tinker with it a bit. And like I say, Romita's tinkered with each one of his covers since he came back from issue 13, right?
I believe so. It looks like it. And I mean, he birthed this, right? I mean, he's equal creator as far as I'm concerned. I know Roy Thomas and his wife created the idea, but I mean, Jerry Conway and Ploog are the creators in my mind.
Yeah,
they should
absolutely.
get co-credit. Yeah, I really liked this cover. I honestly, we were talking last episode about how it's kind of the end of phase 1 and the end of like the golden era of this book, and it gets a little goofier and uneven from here on out. And I was kind of remembering this issue being like a really big one like that. But I enjoyed it a lot more than I remembered. So I'm excited to talk about it. I
am too. I loved it. I was not prepared to love it.
Okay. Me neither.
But I did. It was great for me, which I know we'll get to. But yeah, so this opening page. So I guess we should talk. We have a new writer for this issue whose name is Mike Friedrich, who worked, started mostly from at DC up to this point on books like House of Mystery, or I think he did that first Spectre run with Neil Adams.
Oh, really?
Which is pretty cool. Challengers of the Unknown. Then in 72, he moved over to Marvel, was scripting like Captain Marvel, Submariner, a lot of Iron Man.
Mm-hmm.
And he scripts the next 3 issues of Werewolf by Night. So we'll get to know Mike better as we move forward. Even though I knew him, and maybe you knew him best for starting the Star Reach. He's the publisher of that indie fantasy like kind of anthology from the 70s. It's called Star Reach. Yeah.
Okay.
So he started that.
Can I ask a dumb question? I feel like I ask you this every time. This is not the guy associated with Ghost Rider, right?
No, that's Gary Friedrich, and they are not related.
Okay.
Oh, it's confusing. Yeah, I was so excited because in I think that interview with Ploog that I mentioned before, he ends it by saying like, Gary Friedrich is the only guy I ever met who could drink me under the table. And I was like, that's so awesome. And he's our writer for this issue. And I'm like, nope, it's Mike. Who maybe could drink Ploog under the table too, but nah, let's just give that to Gary.
I guess it's just some kind of bias I have. I assume that these guys aren't hard drinking. Like when they're the younger guys, I assume they smoke the left-handed cigarettes, the jazz cigarettes, and maybe drop some acid here and there. But I didn't really picture them being hard drinking like Hemingway guys.
Well, Ploog was a little older.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. Ploog's, maybe, I don't know, 8 or 9 years older than Jerry Conway, if I'm correct. And, and he was a military man.
Oh, you're right. You're right.
Yeah.
I'm not coming at this with that right headspace.
So, yeah, I remember Star Reach. Like, I think I remember reading most Chaikin's Cody Starbuck is what I remember most about those. I have a few issues in a long box somewhere. But, really cool stuff. So, yeah, like we said, Ploog is our artist. His best inker, Frank Chiaramonte, is on this issue as well. Linda Lessman is the colorist, staff colorist at Marvel since like 1972 or so. She did a lot of work on the horror titles. And then we have the familiar name of Artie Simak as letterer, who has been letterer on lots of crazy, great things, especially Spider-Man. And then, yeah, Roy Thomas is editing. So here we go, our final Ploog issue. So this opening page takes place at Orly Airport in Paris, where Jack and Topaz are waiting for a flight to LA that has been delayed. So Jack and Topaz looks like they're sitting down there. Jack says, "We should have stayed in a hotel tonight, Topaz. I feel strangely hot and feverish, but we have to get home to Los Angeles." Topaz says, "We can't help it if our airline connection is delayed, Jack. Maybe we should cancel our reservations, wait until tomorrow." But Jack reminds her, "But the committee has been hassling my stepfather, and this gendarme comes up and it's just like, "Monsieur, halt, this area is restricted to passengers." But the narration says, "It was too late. From inside the terminal, the massive lights of the airport prevented us from seeing a full moon rising for fourth time this month. No wonder then that I turned madly away from Topaz, a snarl rumbling in my throat. Suddenly, the werewolf was free. And on the fourth night, death in the cathedral." Fourth night.
Yeah. And I know we have to have a drink.
Yeah.
Because he was surprised by a full moon. And I understand this is a rarity.
Yeah. Drink.
However, he is also wealthy, and I think he could afford a lunar calendar. So I'm gonna go. This is a mark against Jack this time.
Doesn't he have an astrolabe or something? Yeah, something fancy. Yeah, it's a really cool page. I mean, it sets up and it's great, and it catches him unawares, and then he turns into the beast and is smashing through this window.
Like the Kool-Aid Man.
He is really like the Kool-Aid Man in this one, and it's awesome.
There's a lot of just brazen out there wolfery going on in this episode. There's no working in the shadows. There's no Malibu castle. This is all happening. This is pretty much in the streets of Paris, and he's very exposed in this issue.
Yeah, he is. And I almost noticed that it seems, I really should have done a panel count, but it seemed like the Beast was in nearly every panel. Like almost more than normal. I don't know. Maybe I'm reading into things, but
no. Wow, you're right. No, isn't he only in these two panels?
Jack? Yeah.
Yeah. Wow, that's a first for sure, right?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay. Crazy. So yeah, on the next page, Topaz is looking after the Kool-Aid Man just ran out of the Orly Airport, big pane of glass, and she's screaming for him, saying, "Come back, come back. He's run too far away. I have to get closer in order to bring the human part out of him." And there's a little note from Roy that says, "Normally Jack Russell loses his human identity 3 times a month during the nights of the full moon. But this month the moon rises full, not 3 times, but 4, lycanthropic Roy." And Gendarme is behind her. I don't speak French very well, but he's saying, "Arrêtez, mademoiselle. Apprêtez, j'ai dit." I think he's saying, "Stop, madam. Hear what I say," or something. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And then we see that these are 3 long, skinny panels vertically. And in the middle one, the Beast is running off across the tarmac. Sorry, some of this is really goofy, and I'm laughing out of love because I do love it. The gendarmes and Topaz are watching him run off, and he's saying in French. I'm just translating this stuff. My 1 year of French in high school. "You are a fool, mademoiselle. He est un loup-garou, the werewolf." So he translated that for us, but he's saying, "That's a werewolf." And she says, "Let go of me. Don't you understand? Let go." And then the next panel, we get a great panel of the Beast on the tarmac running straight at us. Behind him, there's these big starbursts, like lens flares of light from all the airport, lights that are set up. And he says, "I found myself among dazzling lights and acres of concrete." And he thinks his thought balloons are, yeah, you got your drink ready?
I do.
"No forest here, no soft earth under my feet, only the hated man smell. I must run from this noise, from these lights brighter than the stars, to the forest." So I'm going to have
drink
a gin. I'm doing gin this week. first variation from whiskey on the show.
Yeah. Wow. There's a lot of firsts tonight.
Yeah. That's only because of political stuff. I didn't get a chance to get to the liquor store, and I kind of blew through my liquor cabinet last week.
Yeah.
So I'm glad I'm talking to you tonight, Jacob. That's what I'm saying.
Yes. I'm glad you're taking a break from doom scrolling to talk about a great issue.
Yeah.
So, Dev, you found, I think it's the last couple issues, Ploog has kind of really relies on this second or third page layout of 3 skinny panels. I'm noticing kind of a bit of a pattern there that doesn't show up in his Man-Thing work later. So I'm curious as to what the decision was behind that. I think it's effective, but it's...
Was he doing it before Colin did it in the first crossover?
I don't know if he was. Maybe he liked what Colin did there.
Yeah, I wonder if he picked that up from him.
The first couple pages are the same. We had a long 3-panel, and then on this next page, it's awesome. What a cool page. So it's a full-page illustration of the Beast on the airport runway, like a jet roaring and taking off above him. And he says, "Giant gleaming bird swooping down on me. I could not hear it, and now it attacks. I cannot avoid it." And so Friedrich's Beast thinks a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And we haven't really run into that too much.
No, he's got motor mind.
He does have motor mind in this. But like you were saying before, there's all these, all the lights from the airport and even gleaming off of the plane are like lens flares. And I imagine that this is like some of the shiniest stuff the Beast has ever seen.
Yeah.
So this is definitely through his eyes, which I loved. I thought it was great. This is a great page.
Yeah, and this is great. It should be a pinup. It's great. Even out of context, I think it's a good drawing. But yet the airplane above him, like even the red lights on the bottom of the plane are really, like, Ploog accented them. So you're right. He's accenting how alien this is to the werewolf. I love that attention to detail.
Mm-hmm.
Then we go inside of that plane that just came by. Is that the one that just came by, or is this a different plane we're going to?
I think this is I don't know, actually.
Wait, this is a different plane because that plane is leaving, yeah? Or no, maybe not. I'm going to assume it's the same plane.
Let's do that.
Just for simplicity's sake. So we go into the cockpit, and there's a British guy who says, "I say, there's a man out on the runway. I had best pull up." And then he hears a voice behind his shoulder, and there are the, they're not brackets. What do you call those? The greater than, less than symbol. Do they have a name?
The alligators?
Alligators? Okay. So in comics language, if you're not familiar with this, in comics language, they use the alligators to open and close almost like an HTML code, but it's to indicate that someone is speaking in another language, and the writer is, or the letterer is, translating it into English for us. So when you see the alligators, it means that the text is in another language. And usually the first time it appears in a comic, they put an editor's note and explain this is translated from the Arabic, or this is translated from the whatever. But Roy didn't say this is translated from the French, but we know it's French because the voice is saying, "I say not, Monsieur Pilote. Use your, how you say, safety factor distance to save him."
I don't know if you would say how you... Yeah.
I don't mean to make him sound like Triumph.
Yeah, you did make him sound like Triumph a lot.
Your, how you say, safety factor distance to save him.
Would he say how you say in his own language too?
Nope. I don't. The way that the alligators are used to indicate language in this episode is completely inconsistent. So as we see, the person that's speaking is a hunchback in a trench coat with a red beret on, like he's from the Symbionese Liberation Front or whatever, Arby. And he's put a big hunting knife to the pilot's head, and he's pulling his head back, or to his neck. And he says, "But then I order you to land your airship." He says, "You are plane security guard? Why, monsieur." And so apparently this guy is the security guard on the plane. I didn't even know they had those.
Yeah, I was looking up plane hijackings in the 70s, and there's like 1,000 of them. So I'm going to say no, they did not have many security guards.
Because this is definitely a topical. This feels like the ripped from today's headlines thing that Marvel loves to do, right?
Oh, it absolutely is.
Yeah. And so, the pilot's completely confused. "You're the security guard. Why are you turning on us?" And he says, "Monsieur, demi-fou." And he says, or as you British translate, "I am half mad." But he says that still, this is all in French with the crocodile or alligators. And he says, "Do not forget this." And he's very ugly. He's got like buck teeth all gnarled and, like I said, a beret on, and he's got a pig nose. He's a very unattractive individual. Meanwhile, back on the tarmac, the beast, as this plane is landing right near him, the wind is like whipping the fur back off of his back, and he's covering his head. It says, an angry wind tore up my fur-bristled skin, sweeping me from my feet. It was a small plane by Jack Russell standards, but a big bird to the werewolf. Back on the plane, the hijacker says, okay, well, that was very wise of you. You know, this knife is not my only weapon. I also have this briefcase full of explosives. The pilot's like, why are you doing this? You know, and he says, you're not to question. You are to fear, pilot. Drive this plane now, away from the terminal, away from possible sharpshooters from La Surette. So we've got a very intense, the pacing of this issue is really breakneck, which I loved.
Yeah, I did too. And it really, it doesn't let up. No,
it doesn't.
It's really, really a cool issue. So this next page, God, I love the top panel of the beast on the runway. Just he looks so cool. And the narration reads like, somehow I did not fear the bird as a machine of man, but saw it as an enemy in flight, an enemy I thought was attempting to escape me. I hated the bird and I was going to kill it.
I love that.
It really made me laugh. It just reminded me of like in The Jerk. It's like, he hates these cans. Yeah.
And this is even Jack like recalling this later. And he's still like, it recalls the moment to him where he viscerally kind of goes back there, even as he's telling us mentally later.
It's like, I hated the bird.
Yeah, so we lost the monkey mind. We got back to the important things, the forest and killing stuff that you see.
Yeah, see, I do like that. I like that we've kind of pushed reset a little bit, which, you know, every new author has done that, you know, has done their own little take on how cognizant the beast is at any given moment and what the narration is. But yeah, I like Friedrich's voice already. It's goofy, but I'm all in.
Yeah, me too.
So yeah, the gendarmes tell Topaz that they were saving her from the loup-garou. Which, yeah, she replies, on the contrary, Captain, I am the only one who can control him. In saving me, you may have doomed dozens of people. And so I love that she takes off and the cops won't follow her because she is associated with the werewolf. One of the cops is like, I cannot, Captain. She is allied with the werewolf. And it is mere superstition, I know, but I cannot move. And maybe you want to research more of like how serious the French take werewolves.
Well, okay, here's my gripe, though. Those two guards were talking to her, and they were speaking English to her because they could tell she was an American. And then she runs off after the werewolf, and the two guards are talking to each other in English. Shouldn't shouldn't that have alligators on it? Because you revert to your native tongue when you're talking to another native when there's nobody else around. Anyway, sorry, I get weird about that stuff.
No, I totally get it. But I think what you mentioned earlier, we are at a breakneck pace here. Yeah. People are just going to be speaking whatever for a while, which, you know, it's okay.
Yeah.
Especially now in the last panel, we see the hijacker, or hunchback, is taking control of the plane and is on the radio demanding a car. So again, like you were saying, the hijacker hunchback is really hideous. I mean, kind of, he has these like red mutton chops.
Yeah.
Like just which paired with the snappy French red beret is so funny. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It looks like if groundskeeper Willie put on a SLA hat kind of thing. He just has such weird facial hair.
I didn't want to mention that he was a ginger because I didn't want people to think that I'm, you know, some kind of I have a bias against redheads. I do not.
Yes.
Some of my best friends are redheads.
You tell him, Matt. Yeah. So while this is going on, so he's going, the hijacker is talking more like, yes, control. You heard me. I want a car with no driver left by the plane and no one is to come near the plane. Understood? The voice on the other end is like, Roger, a sedan is on its way. But our hero pilot is thinking, normal air communications are in English, but I can pick up most of this French being spoken now. Might come in handy.
Does it? I feel like that was a dead end.
No, the language does not come in handy.
Okay.
No, it's all action.
Oh, man. Okay, so at this moment, if you recall, the beast is going bird hunting. So he's jumped up onto the wing, and he's starting to claw at the door of the plane. And he says, I knew the bird was of metal, not feathers. And perhaps with Topaz's distant help, I understood its fleshed master was inside. If only I could enter and seize his neck in my claws. I love this fury he's in, like just berserker Tasmanian devil mode.
It is. The bright lights have just driven him mad.
Too much concrete, too many lights. And so inside they used to call them stewardesses, but I guess you call them flight attendant. Damn it. I even fucked up my correction. Flight attendant is coming in and she hears a scraping at the door and she says, perhaps it's the police already. The hijacker can't see me. I'll just open this door now. And she opens the door to the beast is right there. She starts screaming. And then he boards the plane. He's standing in the middle of the aisle. And he says, they all feared me. I could smell it, and the odor revulsed me. But this way led to the bird's tail. These humans were unimportant. I turned then and loped towards its head and my victim. So just seeing this kind of over-the-shoulder shot of him looking down at all the people screaming in the plane, it's just so surreal. This issue is so surreal.
It is, but it's just it's the perfect level, and it's just I love it. So yeah, next page, the hijacker kind of hears the commotion in the passenger cabin, and just decides he's going to kill the pilot. So he draws his knife, but the pilot knocks it out of his hands, saying, "There is enough of the Royal Air Force left in me." And then he brings the knife down on the hijacker's wrist, and the knife just shatters on the hunchback's tough skin. And the pilot says, "How is this possible?" And then our hijacker says, "You have heard of mutants, have you not? I bear such a curse. It has hardened my skin as well as misshaped my spine." So this was a huge revelation for me, and such a cool twist on this story. The hunchback is a mutant.
I actually had a verbal reaction.
I did too.
I think I said, "Oh shit," when I read that panel. Like, "Oh shit, he's a mutant."
Yeah, it's just it's such a cool little wrinkle in this story. And it's a very oft-told tale of the Hunchback of Notre Dame. But yeah, he should be a member of the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is strange because this shouldn't work, this story. Because they're kind of doing the let's go back to the Gothic horror well. Who else can we do? And by all logic, by all rational expectations, that should be lame. But the way they approach this is so weird that it works. Like it even exceeds and excels.
It does, because never in my wildest dreams would I have guessed that the Hunchback of Notre Dame issue was going to have him as a hijacker of an airplane. I'm like, oh, that hasn't been done. That's a new one.
Yeah, it's starting to, and again, I keep reiterating how surreal this is, but I keep saying but it's so surreal, or it's the right level, and it works for me. I have to emphasize this is firing on every cylinder for me. But as I say that, it also has a refrigerator poetry magnet sense to it as well, like hijacker, werewolf, Notre Dame or Paris. You know what I mean? Like
mutant.
Your challenge is to write a script with all these. Yeah, totally.
Oh, it's so awesome.
So the beast enters the cockpit and he sees the hunchback beating, like furiously beating on the pilot. And he says, "Here was my prey. I could sense it. And now he was trying to kill another as he had almost killed me. And so I knew it was him who would have to die. I snarled, not to warn my prey, but more to frighten him. And I succeeded. So he comes in there and he growls and scares the hunchback. He looks over his shoulder. But I thought that was cool that Friedrich added in there that he, it's not just a non-voluntary verbalization like an animal. He's actually doing it to frighten his prey and break his concentration and to get an advantage, strategic advantage.
Yeah, it's a cool little touch.
He throws him into the cockpit and he says, I think then I had conquered him, but that was what my mistake was. At this point, a pilot is kind of pulling himself up because there's a co-pilot and a pilot. And he says, I don't know who this fellow with the mask is, but the hunchback rather clipped him one there. But I have more important to worry about, the bomb. So someone thought he was a guy in a mask. Is that one of our...
shit. Yes, that is. All right, drink.
Okay, so that is the end of my wonderful Vincent Price gin cocktail. So I got to open an old German. Okay, so at that point, the hunchback kind of gets the upper hand. He takes a big swing at the beast. And in our final panel, we get a beautiful rendition of Topaz running across the tarmac with the sparkling lights behind her. She's all in shadow. All I can see is like her hair and like her highlights of her trench coat and her boots, but she's mostly dark. You can't even see her face except the bridge of her nose. Really a cool kind of moody shot. And she says, I'm getting close to the plane Jack entered, and no matter what the strain on me, I must try to establish even minimal mental contact if I wish to humanize his werewolf form. So this was a roller coaster ride of Topaz's new ability to control Jack. This whole issue was just like you said, it's breakneck pace, and it's just like, it's like you're on the Gravitron at the fucking fair. It's insane.
Oh, I love it. Yeah. So, okay. Now this is interesting. I feel like the narration on this next page is worth reading. It says, usually the wolf fury blots out my memories during battle, but my recollections of this battle are somehow clearer than normal. Like I distinctly recall the pilot with the explosives. So yeah, the hero pilot is trying to defuse the bomb. And yeah, like you were saying, this issue has the energy that is like an amalgam of 70s exploitation film, like horror movie, disaster movie, hijacking movie. Like it's very, very 70s in a way that...
but in that same stripe, I totally agree with you. And I love exploitation movies, and I love how, you get that kind of breakneck speed and that kind of sleazy, trashy, blah, 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 go, 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 go to the drive-in and see this movie kind of thing at the expense of character. But there's also some interesting characterization that happens in this too, on top of it. So you're not sacrificing story for action in this one as much.
No, not at all.
Not till the end anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was funny, I kind of went back and was just like, okay, so there were a lot more hijackings in the 70s than other decades. And I just a real cursory look, and I'm like, oh yeah, there's like 100 times more hijackings in the 70s than any other decade. And yeah, so like you said, ripped from the headlines for sure. So Topaz is in the passenger cabin. She's making her way back to where the beast and the hunchback are fighting. And she momentarily distracts the beast, who kind of looks back and thinks Topaz. And then that allows the hunchback to just land this real solid punch to the beast's face.
I love it.
Oh, I know. It's so cool.
You missed something, though. I mean, you did, in the interest of time and expediency, you ran over the fact that there's also, as if there weren't enough going on, this is like telling the aristocrats, as if there wasn't enough going on, the pilot is defusing a briefcase bomb while the werewolf and the hunchback are fighting on a plane.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, my God.
So cool. Yeah, why couldn't Friedrich and Ploog have been teamed for more stories?
I know.
Would have been great.
I love the irony here that Topaz, frantically boards a plane to make that mental connection because she thinks Jack is eviscerating innocent passengers. And so she makes that connection, takes control of Jack back, and that's the worst possible thing that could have happened right then, which causes him to get cold cocked and completely knocked out by the hunchback. And then so Topaz is looking over, the hunchback standing over there panting, and she says, "Our link, it's been broken. He's unconscious. You've heard him." And he's like, "I don't understand why you even care about this thing. He interfered with my dream, and so he paid." And so he's like looking at Topaz. He's like, "Actually, you're perfect for what I'm going to do here. I had a plan, but I'm going to augment it by adding a beautiful blonde, helpless damsel to it." And she says, "No, I must stay and tend to him, please." And he grabs Topaz by the throat, pulls her out. And on the tarmac now, there's tons of police, and they're all shining their lights on them. They've got rifles. And he says, "You can shoot me, but if you shoot me, I guarantee you the last thing I do will be to squeeze and break her neck." So they're like, "Well, we're helpless. We must let him go." And the guy thinking that is an army guy with a machine gun saying, we got to let him go, but we'll follow them the rest of the way. And that army guy is like, that's so Ploog going, "Oh, I got this. There's an army guy." Like that profile was like so, because didn't he illustrate those manuals or whatever? Was that him or is that a different artist?
No, that was him. He illustrated those kind of instructional manuals, or this monthly. It's like a PS Monthly, I think it was called, and that was what he did for Eisner. So yeah, I mean, he can draw an army guy in probably 7 seconds.
Yeah, I'm saying that's what I was going to say. Is like he probably drew this in his sleep while he's talking on the phone. Like,
yeah.
And the last panel is one of my favorite of this one. And this I love this art. It's so consistent in this one, in my opinion. But this panel says, it could only have been minutes later when I awoke and she was touching my mind. The distance between us brought back the clouds to my consciousness. So he woke up, and as Topaz is being dragged away by the hunchback, it's like Bluetooth signal. Like the further you get away, the worse it gets, and then it's just gone, disconnected. But the beast is kind of standing there thinking, as he loses his connection to Topaz, there's this ghostly astral portrait of her above him that's in whites and blues and like a cloud, and it's gorgeous. And so is the beast. I mean, his fur is just on fleek. Like, he's amazing. I love this panel.
I do too. My only slight complaint is that weird kind of narration box is at an angle. Mm-hmm. So if you try and like take a picture of just that panel, you're going to have this like weird kind of text box in a strange angle. Okay, go on.
I knew you were going to have that problem with this. I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah. Well,
old friend.
Our psychic link is still strong, my friend.
So what I don't get about that, I know you don't want to put it in the panel with Topaz and the Beast because that's a fucking work of art. But normally when you bridge two panels with text boxes like this, it's because there's an counterintuitive layout of panels and you're trying to lead the eye to where it's supposed to go next, right? Like there's a bunch of in early Golden Age comics, the weird shit where there's drawing arrows and making your eye go around this weird snake of panels. Is it here just because there was no place to put it?
I don't know. I don't think it needs to be there. And it looks like they moved it because someone was like, oh, don't cover up that gun. Like, move it out of the way of that gun.
Yeah, it should be covering the M16 of the military guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is a shame.
It is. And it's really one of my only complaints about this issue. And it is a petty complaint, I will admit. But
I do know that I could put this into Photoshop and finish the lines just based on, mental, closure. How you can fill in. I know I could finish this.
Okay.
Maybe not Frank Chiaramonte good, but I could do it. I could do it.
All right.
Yep.
So yeah, this next page, goddamn, like the Beast he looks amazing in every panel on this page. Like, so he's able to psychically, like we were saying, follow Topaz, their connection, as the hunchback takes her to, guess where? Notre-Dame. So Mike Friedrich, okay, I love this. So he's kind of following them. He sees these guys and he's like, no, not these. It is the ugly one I want. He has passed this way into the ugly city. I don't know. Paris isn't necessarily known as an ugly city.
Yeah, isn't the city of light or something?
Yeah, well, he
doesn't like lights.
No, he hates lights, so it is ugly to him. So I loved this. So Mike Friedrich just decides to put a little history lesson, like at the bottom of this page where he writes.
So weird.
It's weird and awesome. So, okay, here's what it says. And perhaps the most majestic monument to architecture man has ever created, built in 1163, making it 4 times as old as the USA, 417 feet long, 156 feet wide, 3 stories high, and noted for its flying buttresses, which helped distribute weight, yet had the aesthetic value of making the cathedral more fluid and less rigid.
Surreal.
It's really weird. I don't mind a little contextual history lesson with my monster comic.
I don't either.
It seemed like what you'd see on a placemat at the Pig and Pancake, like in 1974, like just little factoids.
And it's also extra weird in this issue because it is whip fucking smash cuts and whip zooms and all this shit, and it just pulls the brake like.
Yeah.
Oh,
so I know. It's so funny. The more you know.
Yeah. Oh man. So yeah, I like that this thing up here when he's running down the streets and he's on Rue Michel, apparently, and he's following Topaz's mind, like you said, and he wants to free her from her crazed foe, and then my wolf self would kill. And then the bottom it says, the nightmare was back. I don't know why that totally tickled me. It's like, Mac is back in town.
It is.
And it's funny because when he was following the Topaz connection as his like link to, as a spoor, I was like, well, that's cool. But he could also be following the smell of the hunchback because I bet the hunchback doesn't smell very good. And then later on, when Topaz is not conscious, he follows the smell of the hunchback. Like Friedrich, man, he had it.
Yeah, he did. He had it right off the bat.
Yeah. Yeah, normally there's a dodgy issue where the person's like, I haven't had time to read all the back issues yet, but you need it by tomorrow? Okay, I can write something. Werewolves are the things with stakes, right? But yeah, this dude hit the ground running hard.
Yeah.
So he approaches the cathedral, and there's an armed. I've never been to France. I've been to some, like a mosque and stuff like that, and I've been to the Alhambra in Spain. But there were not guys with machine guns posted out front. Maybe that's a Parisian thing. I don't know. But we get this great panel of the beast sprinting, like fully leaning into a sprint, running past another gendarme, apparently by his outfit, holding an M16. And the guy starts opening fire because, as you do when somebody trespasses, late at night, you just start shooting a machine gun at him. And this is interesting here. Please help me parse this, Jacob. I've been waiting all day for you to explain this to me. So he says, my mind became clear. I realized the guard, with only the full moon for light, thought me perhaps an accomplice of the hunchback. I was grateful the stinging bullets were fortunately not forged from silver, and I almost smiled at my thoughts. But a werewolf cannot smile, and that pain was greater than bullets could bring. Explain that last bit of prose to me. That was weird.
So so should we establish? So has the beast just been shot multiple times by a machine gun?
I think he got winged once because you see one ricocheting off the side of the building, and it says "brap" like a big fart sound. I do see one bullet coming towards him, and I think it hit him in the shoulder. It looks like.
Well, I would say that yes. So I like that he brings up silver, which is rarely brought up in this book, really. So
until
I kind of like
Moon Knight, it almost doesn't come up at all.
Yeah. And so that bottom bit I thought of as kind of because later on at the very end, there's something that kind of comes back into this whole like a werewolf cannot smile, and that pain was greater than bullets could bring. So I think that, yeah, there's a slightly cheesy line at the end that I think calls back to this a little bit.
So he's setting up. He's asking a question that he answers at the end. I know.
I think he's setting himself up. Okay, so I think this
makes way more sense.
Yeah, this was definitely planned.
Okay. And then the bottom is this big rectangular, almost square panel that is so trippy. I fucking love it. I just kept tripping out on how cool it is.
I know.
So on the left-hand side, you have tilted to the left a canted angle of the cathedral door with stained glass above it, and the beast opens it. He entered. He says his mind is lucid with a touch of Topaz. You have to pay attention here, folks. If you have not read this, the connection between Topaz comes in and out. So he becomes Jack and then becomes a mindless, rampaging beast, like the drop of a fucking coin. Like, it's just crazy. So entering the cathedral, he's reestablished that connection. So now he's Jack. And he says, and then suddenly he clouded back because she just fainted. So the hunchback's carrying her, and he's trying to figure out why she has fainted. And the beast is looking up at them on a balcony and says he does not see me, but his voice leads me to him. And this panel is so cool because the way the door opens and spills out, there is no clean panel break to indicate it's two panels, but it is two panels because as you go to the right side of the panel, you see the beast looking up. So he's on the left and the right. And on the right, he's looking up at them from the bottom, and you're next to the hunchback and fainted Topaz. So Ploog has melded two panels into one, and it completely works and doesn't, you know what I mean? Like when people break comics and it doesn't work very obviously. It careens because it's all your mind doing it. This one works so fluidly that I didn't notice that he'd done anything. And then I went back and said, wait, where's the gutter? There's no gutter. Holy shit, Mike Ploog's a fucking genius.
He is a fucking genius. Yeah, I'll admit the first time I read this issue last week, I was really high. I was too high. And when I got to this panel, I was just like, oh my God, it's like I'm falling into a fucking MC Escher painting or something.
I love it.
Yeah, it was awesome, but it really did. Yeah, I probably looked at it for like 5 straight minutes. And yeah, it's gorgeous. And I think it's a perfect example of what a master Ploog is.
Yeah, this should be in the feed.
Oh, it absolutely is going to. Yeah, our next page is fairly simple. comparatively. It's 4 simple panels, but still work really, really well together. The beast is stalking the hunchback, kind of following him at a distance up to the bell tower. So he thinks to himself he needs to save the girl because she could possibly lead him to the forest. He says, yes, that is why. She can bring me to the forest. It's all right.
So drink?
Drink.
Is that the last one, this issue?
I think so.
Okay.
So yeah, then the third panel, he jumps out at the hunchback, who says, you have followed me even to this bell tower. No human makes that wolfish sound. Then you are a freak, as am I. Perhaps you understand why I do this, to make a lasting mark on that uncaring world out there. But if you cross me, then you must suffer. So it seems that his motivation for the hijacking, for all of that, is just to have his revenge on society? Like he's not a D.B. Cooper type?
Definitely. Okay, so he's on plan B, right?
I think he's definitely on plan B at this point. I don't think he...
Was he doing the London to Paris flight as a security guard and then decided his ultimate plan was to hijack the plane? No, because he does it when they arrive in Paris. I don't understand. I was going to mention this back there, but I didn't want to spoil it because he says something about his plan. And I was like, okay, I'm going to make a note. What is his plan? Because I make notes as I'm thinking of them. And then I, look at them later when I know everything. And then here he's talking about his dream later. And it's not clear. It's not clear what his plan is and why he's here, because I assumed at this point that he was planning to jump from the cathedral to commit suicide to make a statement about being abused by society and treated like less than because of his looks and his hunchback. Did you think that at all, or am I crazy?
No, I mean, like he says, perhaps you understand why I do this. He says he does this to make a lasting mark on that uncaring world out there. So yeah, maybe he was, his end result was dying, whether it's in an explosion in the plane. Maybe that was his first plan. Perhaps that was his plan A. And now he's on plan B, which is, going to end up suicide.
Because I like this having some kind of romantic, tragic element to it, which a suicide would do. But like if he's going to take a plane down with a bunch of people, then we stumble into that incel territory of like, everyone's going to remember my name. Like, yes. Which I have no sympathy for those people. Yeah, his motivation was unclear to me, and it moved and mutated throughout the story. And I still didn't 100% understand at the end, but it didn't impact my enjoyment of the issue.
Well, but remember, one of the first things he says is that he is half mad.
That's right. He is half mad.
Maybe it's not, his plan isn't going to make the best sense, but it's going to be badass and it's going to be really loud.
So at this point, Topaz is completely passed out, right? Like the page you just talked about. And so he's running up and he's thinking a lot because we said he's got motor mind. And he's thinking, I don't know why I must save her. She brought me here into the city, and that's where we got set up with that forest thing. But so he's kind of like wondering, he remembers that Topaz is important, which he's done this before, right? With Alyssa and stuff like that. But I just think it's interesting that Friedrich already picked up the nuance of again, I can't say enough how much he nailed this first outing. That's all. Wasn't really a point. So we get a very poetic description of what's going on because this guy is speaking French at the werewolf who doesn't even understand English. So he's thinking, they're grappling. The hunchback has his wrist and he has the hunchback by the wrist. And there's kind of this wrestling grappling mode right next to the where the bell is. And the beast thinks his words, they rattle like falling rocks, but mean nothing. But he does not give me the girl. And so I attack. Is that haiku?
I think that is haiku.
Somebody count those syllables. Meanwhile, in French, the hunchback says, you're even less a man than I have been called. I feared you at first for the wolf, and you chills my spine. But I have planned long for this moment, smiling in answer to the world's insults, bowing to the world's bigotry. They're still grappling, and then at this point, he says, I've beaten the world, wolf, and I have beaten you. And he gets the upper hand, and he throws the beast off on the shaft that is below the bell.
Yeah, the next page It's 3 panels. Damn, this page is great. So it has 3 panels with one long, skinny one on the left. And yeah, it shows what happened right after. So the beast is plummeting off of this scaffolding, saying, "Swinging string, if I can grab it." Which I don't know why him calling a rope swinging string really made me laugh.
Yeah, I chuckled.
So yeah, he grabs the rope connected to the bells, and that starts them ringing, which on that last panel, as you would imagine, drives the hunchback insane.
Yeah, he and Eddie Brock are just like commiserating over a beer right now. Bells, am I right? But I like that as the beast is swinging, he's thinking about the sound the bell makes and says it makes a sound like boulders echoing in an empty canyon. So he's got a lot of contextual knowledge of the world without having a lot of experience in the world.
Yeah, and I think we can make some sense of this by just being like, now in the post-Topaz era of the beast, he's given a little bit more awareness just because she's kind of plugging him into Jack's consciousness. She's, mind melding with him. So yeah. I can see that he's gaining just a bit more awareness each time.
I think there's been some erosion of the divide between the beast's mind and Jack's mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're getting closer to crossing over. Okay, so at this point, the police and everybody have arrived. They've trained some spotlights up on the tower, and the guy's talking on the CB to command or whatever, and says, "I consider," he says, "the werewolf and the hunchback are fighting. I consider it best we wait until they have finished. Our action would only damage the cathedral." It's a very French response, like. Let them battle it out, and we will go in and sweep up the blood and guts. We don't want to disturb the cathedral.
No,
I'm intentionally doing a bad French accent, by the way.
Yes. No, it's a measured response and an intelligent response.
Yep. So at this point, the hunchback has lurched towards this railing at the edge of the stonework, out looking over the city. He says, "I cannot stand this noise. I must move away. But where? There's no escape from here." And the beast is thinking, hey, he didn't see me climb up the rope. I have the surprise. So he runs up to him and says, "The prey is mine." And he doesn't say it, he thinks it. And he jumps on the back of the hunchback going, "Rawr." And he says, "My prey is stronger than I, but he cannot use his strength against me." At this point, they're leaning out precariously over the edge of the tower. And you can see the people down there pointing at them, looking at them, the lights training on them. And they are in a very scary space. I thought it was interesting there. At the end of this panel, he says, "This was the werewolf at his peak, a raging, ravaging animal, using what little thought he had to supplement fine-honed fighting instincts." So we've been conjecturing that he's been learning things and improving his ability throughout this whole story, and that's just kind of confirmed.
Yeah, definitely. And it makes sense. It makes perfect sense. So yeah, this next page, the beast is really hammering the hunchback, thinking, "I must kill him, kill him, kill him." And then Topaz finally regains consciousness and sees the beast about to murder the hunchback. And being Topaz, who values all life, she attempts to link the two men's minds together. She says, "I have to stop it. Try something I've never been able to do. Mind touching two other minds at once, linking them together so they are as one." Is this the first time we've heard it referred to as mind touching?
Yes.
Because I love it.
I think technically she hasn't done this yet with Jack, because she described it before in the Dracula storyline as pulling Jack's mind up out of the beast's consciousness. So this is the first time she's actually done this like empathy magic, essentially. Right?
Yeah, definitely.
Commingling their essences, their minds together, their thoughts, their beings.
Yeah, and because Topaz can see so deep, she says there is too much inner beauty in both of them. Yes, too much to let it be dashed on the rocks of violence.
Oh, Topaz, I love you.
I know, I love Topaz too.
I really love that I love the art on this whole page. It's 4 equal-sized panels just divided into a grid. But the first one, he slashes the hunchback's shirt off. And then the next panel, he's like crouching over him and pushing him down by the neck. The hunchback is down on his back over the edge of the precipice. Like, it's insane violence. And that third panel is my favorite. We get this beautiful like romance comic profile of Topaz as she's realizing that they're going to kill each other. And in the disc behind them, you see in silhouette the hunchback being slashed at by the werewolf with the moon in the background. Gorgeous, gorgeous stuff.
Yeah.
God damn. So yeah, we have achieved full mind melt here. And this is, I did not expect this coming. Again, I've read all the stuff, but I've forgotten a lot of it. Their minds meld together, and you get some Ploog plasma between the two of them, as you would expect. And he says, he knew my curse, Jack's thinking. And I knew of early rejection as a freak and a monster. And we jump into this flashback panel inside of the hunchback's mind. And Jack continues, I knew pain. And then I felt the rage, a bitter anger at those who would not look beyond what they saw, inside to the man. I felt the vow of vengeance. And for the first time, I felt sympathy for this man. And so you see this panel on the top, you see the hunchback as a little boy, and schoolyard kids are throwing rocks at him, at his hump. And then below, he's older and he's just raging, clenching a fist as adult Parisian people shake fists at him and yell at him like angrily, like he's a monster. And that's what made him a monster, essentially. And this connection between these two minds is so strong that Topaz faints because of the strain. Because remember, she has diminished capabilities because Taboo took some of her essence to do that magic a few issues ago. So at that moment, immediately the beast is back. All the sympathy is gone, all the empathy, all the connection gone. He's in murder mode like that. So he starts slashing at him again, and he picks the hunchback up in a body slam mode like he did Dracula last issue. And yeah, that's the end of that page. Sorry.
Yeah, he says, I pressed it for all it was worth, in this case, the hunchback's death. And so, yeah, Topaz screams, Jack, don't save him. Don't kill him. Then the beast thinks, in the first instant, my mind cleared, and I saw what I had done. In the second instant, I leapt to correct my mistake to prevent a most horrible murder. And so he basically threw the hunchback off, and then at the last second catches his arm. And the beast thinks, this was a night of firsts. My werewolf self was attempting to save a life rather than take it. And Lord, for the first time, a werewolf prayed. Yet the weight was just too great, and the werewolf failed in his determined task. And for the first time, a werewolf cried. And so he loses the grip on the hunchback. The hunchback falls off the tower onto the concrete below and dies. And the beast thinks, and perhaps it would be the last time as I came to fully realize the immense forces that surrounded me, forces that could easily engulf me. But for the moment, I didn't care. And yeah, a little cheesy at the end, but still really emotionally effective. Like, I was really moved by this issue.
Yeah, and so if you haven't read this one, folks, if you listen to what Jacob just read, imagine the end of Die Hard when Alan Rickman's character has a hold of Bonnie Bedelia's, whatever her name is, and he's hanging, and I think he has a hold of her watch, which was a Rolex she got as a Christmas gift at the beginning. Booyah! But yeah, but there's that kind of moment where they're holding hands and then he's slipping, and there's that panel where the beast lets go of him, or he slips out of the beast's hand, and they're almost touching, like that was that Michelangelo's what is that painting, the God's
Sistine
hand
Chapel?
Yes, like the Sistine Chapel fresco. I'm sure that was just not intentional, right?
No, but I don't know. Like this. So this is the end of our issue, and I have to say, like the ending was great. And this issue, I mean, I know I'm jumping right into final thoughts because I'm just so excited, but like this issue made me feel like I was 11 years old reading it. And not every issue of this book has done that. But like you were saying, the breakneck speed, but also it being really well written. I mean, it's crazy and just comes out of nowhere in a lot of places, but it's really well written and really well constructed. And Ploog's art almost doesn't, I almost like that he doesn't lean on Eisnerian flourishes as much. Like, he's just a powerful storyteller. Like, he's not, I mean, he does really amazing things like that one panel you were talking about that's all from every crazy angle possible. So he's doing these really incredible things effortlessly. So you just don't even notice.
Yeah, that panel was like he was having fun. Like I felt like he was enjoying it as much as we did.
Yeah, it's such a great issue.
Yes. And this last panel, which you didn't describe, is this very tragic moment where we're looking down over the shoulder of the beast from like a bird's eye view. And he's looking down at the police with their lights standing around the dead body of the hunchback splattered on the ground. And Topaz has her hand on his in an empathetic, supportive way.
Yeah,
very sad.
It is very sad. And I love that we still get those kind of weird lens flares from the lights. So obviously, from the beast perspective. And it's beautiful. It's a beautiful last panel. Yeah.
And, I'm glad that you called out that this was the first time the beast had seen like these big steel things, like that, or the bright lights like that, because it's clear that Ploog picked up on that and emphasized it throughout the entire issue. So, I mean, if you didn't think the guy's a genius before, he just picked it up and ran with it through the entire issue.
Yeah, no, it's an amazing storytelling device. It's great. Ploog is great.
It makes saying goodbye all the harder because I was expecting this to be another kind of uneven thing where it's like the best panel I've ever seen, and then two panels you're kind of wincing at, and then one that's just okay, and then lather, rinse, repeat. But I think every goddamn thing he drew in this is fucking gorgeous, and so is Chiaramonte's inks.
Well, they're the best partners, really. I mean, I think Chiaramonte is hands down the best inker that's worked with Ploog. And yeah, it's funny. I wasn't expecting much either. I was like, all right, it's Hunchback of Notre Dame. Like, this is probably going to be stupid. And I was so shocked at how much I loved this.
Yeah. Be hard to pick a few different panels to share with this one for sure.
Oh, I know. It's going to be real hard to figure out what to put in the feed, but there's so much. And I'm happy for that.
Did we do final thoughts? I mean, I could talk about this one all night, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, I think it's pretty obvious both of us loved it and loved. Yeah, Friedrich really hitting the ground running. Like we're saying, like even Len Wein had to kind of, knock around in the dark a little bit for a while before he kind of got some kind of footing. And yeah, this is great. I'm really excited for the next couple issues.
Yeah, Wein needed a period of acclimatizing to this, and even Wolfman, I think, although clearly we're the only people that didn't like the Hangman as much. Maybe Brad, I don't know, but from the letters columns, it's clear that other people were fascinated by it. And you know what? That's fair, because that was 74 or 70, late 73, and I guess having an anti-hero, if you want to call him that, or whatever you want to call him, that was pretty bold, wasn't it? I mean, the Punisher came out a year later, or
almost. It came out in 74, I think, at some time. But yeah, it's
just took that kind of, it's pre-deconstruction of Alan Moore and that kind of stuff, Marvel Man or whatever, and Watchmen and whatever. But it just feels like that was probably noteworthy. I'm trying to think of any other characters that. I mean, vigilantism is the most complicated knot of morality to untangle in comic books, right? I mean, you can take any of them and go out to an extreme and just prove that's. I mean, I've seen plenty of things, hilarious comic strips that are talking about how Batman is a tool of the rich, and he. A guy is going out to steal because his kid's hungry, and Batman kicks his teeth in, and he's the richest fucking dude in Gotham. Like, there is a very real side to that. It's like, he makes no sense. He's a protector of the status quo and the wealthy. So, vigilantism is complicated, but the Hangman didn't seem that complicated to me, but I'm having a hard time seeing it through the lens of someone in 73.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it was. I mean, he seemed a little ham-fisted to me, but I guess just the thing that made him slightly interesting, I guess, in kind of a Ditko way, is that he thought that he was doing the right thing. He thought he was protecting these women by, imprisoning them, which is super fucked up and stupid. But yeah, and it's weird that the letters columns these last couple issues have all just been like, wow, the Hangman was so cool. And I'm just like, are they understanding that? How
dare you make him the villain?
Yeah, I was just like, I don't think they're getting it. Like, the Hangman is not cool. He's not your friend.
And I think I read one letter where it's somebody writing in saying, you know, at first I was a little put off and then I got it. This is like a commentary on the Old West, you know, whatever the heroes of the golden age that were masculine, whatever. And this is just kind of taking that and making it absurd by taking it to the extreme. And so I thought that was a cool criticism of masculinity and heroics, which I totally agree with.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. And that's how I took it. But it seems like a lot of these, what I'm assuming are kids, basically, are writing in just being like, wow, the Hangman, I really understand him. I get him.
You know
I'm like,
what?
oh, God.
I have been not doing my due diligence and picturing these people as 12 to 22-year-olds, you know, like the kids smoking dope in college and tweens.
Yes.
And everything in between. Because in my mind, when I'm reading these letters, like, well, they're 45 because I'm 45.
Yeah.
The same way, like, when I watch college football and I'm like, you idiot. Why, blah, blah. It's like, my wife will be like, he's like 20 years old. Give him a break. That's right. He could literally be my son.
Yeah, we should remind ourselves before each letter column as to the age of what these letter authors are.
Definitely.
Yeah, so I don't know about you. I went, and after this, I wanted to know exactly, you know, what Ploog did after this. And so I read, you know, at least the next 3 or 4 issues because, okay, so this issue came out in April of 74, and in May of 74, Man-Thing replaces Werewolf by Night as Ploog's only monthly book. So he immediately starts with issue 5 of Man-Thing. And it's amazing. It's the best comic you'll ever read that starts off with a clown committing suicide.
Seconded, thirded, fourthed.
It's so great. And yeah, my God, that first issue, like issue 5, the Night of the Laughing Dead, or which I think it's called.
I think that's
kind of silly, but man, the art in that is just astonishing.
I think I had the Power record, but not the comic.
Oh no!
As a kid, and that freaked me out.
So, is the Power record that storyline?
You know, I don't remember.
Okay.
I can tell you, going through the Werewolf one, it took a lot of Marvel Spotlight #2 and a lot of Tomb of Dracula 18 and a lot of Werewolf by Night 15. And you can see where they just use whiteout and the word balloons that exist, and just they're really poorly lettered, like with Sharpie. And so they change, simplify. It's kind of a hatchet job, to be honest. So if you folks listen to the last episode, I played some clips. It's like where Jacob and I were reading stuff, but it existed on the record. I would pull it from the record and drop it in. And even there was like some of the better writing, in my opinion, was excised for expediency and simplicity's sake. So it's much lesser stuff. So I'm sure, was that Gerber? Gerber was writing then, right?
Yeah. Gerber's writing. Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm sure that Gerber was a way too sophisticated storyteller for Power Records, little kids, 45s. So yeah, I'm sure that got completely hacked up.
Like, yeah, the Power Records stuff seems like it was made for, like, you know, a little kid to play on his Fisher-Price 45 player.
Yep.
You know, and like Peter Pan Records kind of thing.
But this one has Spider-Man and a Space Wolf guy on it. I love this one. I had that one. I love that one. That's what it was. I had a compilation 12-inch that was a Spider-Man story with Moonwolf, Swamp Thing, Hulk at Bay, a Fantastic Four one, the Origin of Fantastic Four. That's right. They were all out of context. So it was just the stories with no art. That's why I was so confused as a kid.
I think I know what record you're talking about, and yeah, I've seen that for sale at many times in my life at different record stores.
I'm 95% certain it's Spidey swinging in and crashing through a Daily Bugle window as the Moonwolf threatens his father, J. Jonah Jameson.
Absolutely,
okay. Yeah, that's one I had.
So yeah, I mean, I highly recommend to anyone. Especially if you have Marvel Unlimited, just check out Ploog is on Man-Thing from issue 5 to 11, and they're great. Especially 5, 6, and 7 are just impeccable issues. They're so good. And so, yeah, I mean, I guess a little overview of what Ploog did after this. Like we said, he worked on Man-Thing, Cole, which we talked about before, and then Planet of the Apes, really, for the rest of 74. So here's something I found. He also wrote and drew a book called Police Action for Atlas Seaboard Comics. Are you familiar with that at all?
No.
They're called Atlas Seaboard to distinguish them from the Marvel Atlas era stuff. But it was started by Martin Goodman when he finally left.
Okay.
And wanted to start his own thing. So Martin Goodman, this guy named Jeff Roven, and Stan Lee's brother Larry Lieber actually started this pretty and they paid their artists pretty well, and a lot of big names did work for Atlas Seaboard, like pretty much everyone you could think of, but like Neil Adams, Steve Ditko, John Severin, Alex Toth, like all these huge guys did fairly forgettable work at this place. So it opened in June of 74 and closed in November of 75. Like the title that Ploog drew, Police Action, only lasted 3 issues. And I was going to ask you if you'd ever read any of that stuff. It's not really collected all that much.
I've never even heard of it.
Yeah, I know you'd recognize, if you saw some of the titles, you'd probably recognize the masthead, which is on every one of the Atlas Seaboard comics. But
Seaboard, like SEA?
Yeah, SEA. BOARD. Yeah. And it's like I say, a lot of it is pretty forgettable stuff. But yeah, pretty much any big name that you could think of, or most of them at least, did some kind of work for it. Because I guess they paid pretty well, did some kind of artist royalties thing, but yeah, obviously it didn't last for very long. It lasted only a little over a year.
Okay, I'm kind of remembering this masthead.
Yeah, that's the most distinctive thing that I think that people would remember. They have at least gone through long boxes of stuff.
Well, now you've got me obsessed with this Fright featuring the son of Dracula. So whatever the fuck this is, I'm going to have to buy it. Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
God damn it.
Well, there's also this really bad, I should have written it down. There's this really bad like Vampirella copy called like Devilrella or Devil Girl or something really bad. Like it's not that, but it's just as bad. Like I say, I don't think it's really been collected all that much. It's not. It's kind of written about as a failed experiment.
Can you get them for a song from like My Comic Shop?
You probably. I'm sure you can. Like
okay.
I don't think they're super collectible.
I feel like I have binding fever right now, so I might. Something weird might happen. Have you got your Detective Comics, Norm Brayfogle and? Was it Alan Davis? I forgot who wrote that.
Well, it's Alan Grant.
Alan Grant.
Alan Grant and Norm Brayfogle. And yeah, I actually got an email from the bindery today because it'd been like a month and a half.
Yeah, they're not
and so
fast.
I was just like, shit. I was almost about to email them and just be like, hey, I just want to make sure they got there okay. No hurry. I know it's a pandemic. I know shit is crazy. Like, no hurry. But yeah, they sent me an invoice today. So I'm extremely excited to get those back.
If I recall, they come pretty fast after the invoicing.
Oh, man, I can't wait. So, yeah, back to Ploog. He did less and less comics work as the 70s went on. Like, he did a story here and there for Marvel until I think in the late 70s, he had some kind of contract disagreement with Jim Shooter and left for good, which, that story is pretty common.
All too common.
Yeah, especially for those guys that had been there in the early 70s, and then Shooter comes in with his, every issue has to be your first issue.
Yeah.
And yeah, just, all that stuff that people say.
Aggressive.
Yeah, exactly. So Ploog kind of focused like the next 10 years mainly on film work, like doing designs and storyboards. He did designs for The Thing, which I can totally tell. It's that couldn't be more Ploog.
I've seen it. It's gorgeous.
Yeah, his storyboards for that are so incredible.
Yep.
So he worked on Superman 2, The Dark Crystal, Labyrinth, Little Shop of Horrors, like just a lot of movies, which I'm sure paid more than Marvel ever did. So he was probably really excited to do all that.
Yeah. I mean, Gabriel Hardman always says that he hates that he makes so much more money working for Hollywood than he does making comics, which is obscene to me.
I know. It's definitely unfortunate. But he returned to comics like in the early 2000s. He worked with J.M. DeMatteis on a kind of YA series, I guess, called Abadazad. I don't know if you had seen that at all. I wasn't familiar with it. I was also unfamiliar with this project he did for Image called The Stardust Kid. Yeah, I know. I had never heard of that either. Actually looked really interesting.
When was this Abadazad thing?
It's in the it's early 2000s, actually.
Oh, early 2000s. Oh.
Yeah, I guess also in the 90s he did like card designs. He did designs for Magic the Gathering and like all these like different kinds of cards.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, what was cool, what I loved looking at was that he did 8 painted covers of Lone Wolf and Cub issues in 1990. And oh my God, they look so good.
Oh my God. Peanut butter and chocolate? Yes, please. Jesus.
Yeah, and then after that, he did a few issues of The Spirit when DC rebooted it around like 2008, I think.
Yeah.
And he did a couple issues of that, like bringing it all the way back around to the beginning, to his greatest influence of Eisner. And yeah, those are the ones that out of the stuff that I looked at from his 2000s work, I was like, oh, I probably need to own those, even just single issues. Like I want those. I think he did 3 of them.
Okay, of The Spirit.
Yeah, of The Spirit, and they look fucking awesome.
Did Darwin Cook do some of those as well, or am I thinking of a different reboot?
I don't know. I mean, he's the other student of Eisner.
Yeah, I feel like he did a run on that, but I might be wrong.
I think he did. I think you're right. But it's funny. I only recently started kind of getting into The Spirit. Like, I have a couple of those. I got a couple of those magazines that Kitchen Sink did in the 70s, where they reprinted like some of his best, like kind of older stories, like the Sunday comic stories. And I think Eisner did some
kind of reprints.
Yeah, but I think Eisner did new stuff too at some point.
He did.
Yeah, but just getting into those, and it's kind of like, yeah, you realize you're like, oh, okay, this is why this guy has the fucking award named after him, because there's kind of no one better.
I feel like I did it wrong. At one point at Powell's, I bought they republished everything, like archives, like $50 10 issue things, and I saw volume 1 used at Powell's, and I bought it for like $35. Sat down. Not realizing the same thing like with bands or TV shows, like you got to give them a little bit to get their legs, and then add that with like some really racially uncomfortable things. I was just kind of like, I'm sure I could read through and get to where he becomes the iconic guy, but I'm just kind of moved on.
Yeah, no, I think I had the same thing when I first started getting into him. And when I first want to get into someone, I'm the same way. I want to read their first stuff. And yeah, there's characters that are beyond racially insensitive to where it's too distracting. You can't enjoy it. Like it does ruin it.
Yeah.
Like I don't care what anyone says.
Danny Colt, right? That's the name of the main character.
Yes. And and that stuff, it's not great. But that's why I like the Kitchen Sink magazines that were put out, because they're a lot more curated.
I would love a best of, like there was like the best of Batman, like around the Tim Burton film, and there was a greatest Joker stories ever told or greatest Batman stories. I would love a curated thing like that of The Spirit, like a couple, like an omnibus or something.
Yeah, which hopefully exists. I'm sure it does. I haven't really gone down the Spirit rabbit holes lately since I got those Kitchen Sink issues. But as far as Ploog goes, the last couple of years, there's been 2 really nice volumes that I think he's put out, or at least a small press that he's associated with put out, that are called The Art of Mike Ploog. Second volume was last year or 2019, actually, I think. And they look really awesome. And I was shocked. Like I'm on Facebook. I don't really go on there anymore. I rarely check it, but I went and was just like, Ploog isn't on Instagram. He's not really on the other things. And so I looked for him on Facebook, and he posts a lot of really cool artwork. Like just shit that I had no idea. He posted like an alternate cover to one of his Werewolf by Night covers that was completely different, and just like all this original art and all these recreations. And he just seems really excited to share and engage with his audience. Like he just seemed really cool, like way cooler than I expected. Like he just, wow. Yeah, you should definitely check it out. His Facebook feed is amazing.
Yeah, to be honest, when he told me that you found him on Facebook, I immediately steeled myself for, I deleted my Facebook account a year ago Thanksgiving. So I was steeling myself for him being a older dude on Facebook. So I was waiting for QAnon shit or some at least conservative stuff. And that always just, I can't rinse that taste out of my mouth when I know. So I was just scared to hear that he was conservative or whatever.
No, that does not come through at all. Like there's nothing. Yeah, he doesn't post anything political, which, say what you want about that. But yeah, it was really nice because, yeah, you're right. I mean, he's an older dude. He's ex-military.
Ex-military too, yeah.
You would kind of expect, but no, there's no kind of bullshit like that on there. Just really incredible art stuff. So that was a cool thing. And, I kind of want to, I looked, there's a collection, but it doesn't seem to be so well available. But I want to go back and read some of his Planet of the Apes stuff.
Who wrote that?
It's, isn't it Doug Monch?
It is. I think so. Yeah. It's someone we've talked about for sure.
Yeah. And some of it, I guess I was reading about, and some of it was published just as his pencils.
Oh,
but wow. I mean, his pencil, at least his finished pencils, looks really incredible. Like, it's not like rough drawings by any means.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, that stuff's supposed to be really, really good.
Yeah. I feel like Planet of the Apes has been coming up a lot recently as a undiscovered or unappreciated gem. I need to get those. I think they're self-published. I think you're right. Or whatever, that small press, his art books of the last few years. I need to get those.
I know, I do too. I mean, they're not cheap, but they're not super expensive. They're like $40-$50. And they look totally worth it. They look like really nice copies, really nice pressings full of tons of cool shit that you and I would freak out for. So,
well, yeah. I mean, you and I have been creaming our jeans over the guy for how many months now? So
yeah,
obviously it's not like it's a gamble.
No, not really a gamble. But I won't lie, I'm really gonna miss him. Yeah. It's weird to think about Werewolf by Night totally devoid of Ploog.
Yeah. I was saying earlier in the episode, in my mind, Conway and Ploog are the creators. So
no, they are the architects. So I'm gonna raise the glass in my last bit of whiskey here.
I'll have a drink this as well.
We'll drink to Ploog.
To Ploog. Ooh. Farewell, Mike. Thank you for all your beautiful art. In this title. He's still alive.
Yeah, still alive and still does great stuff. And please check out his Man-Thing run because it's incredible.
And I would say the entire Man-Thing run is worth checking out. But yeah, his work on it in particular is a highlight.
I don't know if you had the same thing, but I kind of, it took me a while to go back or to kind of get into Man-Thing just because I had read Swamp Thing first. And so it was just all about Swamp Thing, but had to kind of go back and read some of the Heap, which came first before anything.
Right.
But yeah, and then to kind of, through the different comic history magazines I read, like just that real complicated narrative about what came first, what idea came first, what I think bottom line is the Heap came first.
Yeah, yes. And I think that's a fact, and the rest is disputable.
Well, it's so disputable, and they all lived together. They lived in the same apartment.
It's very incestuous.
So yeah, so talk about mind meld, but yeah,
like Elephant Six.
It is.
Who ripped off what 60s riff first? Yeah, definitely. I forgot I was going with that. Sorry. But yeah, I mean, I was going to say, I understand that Swamp Thing came first to you, so you kind of inevitably compared it to that. But like I was saying, I had the Power Records. So to me, the Death of a Clown. What is it called? No, that's a Kinks song. What's that story called? Night of the Laughing Dead.
Night of the Laughing Dead is the cover title. I'm not sure if it's the same title, but it's that.
But at any rate,
issue.
yeah. I mean, like when I was 5 or 6, I met Man Thing first. I guess is what I'm saying.
Oh,
so
that's
Swamp
cool.
Thing seemed like the Kmart brand of that to me.
Interesting. Yeah, it was. But it's funny going back and reading the Man Thing stuff. And also there's in that one of the binds that I did, the War is Hell bind, the last two appearances of the character of John Kowalski were in the last 2 issues of the next run of Man Thing, which I think was late 70s, early 80s. I think it's probably late 70s. But Chris Claremont wrote those.
Oh, right.
And I think he puts himself as a character, Chris Claremont, the character who can't finish the story or needs to figure out how to finish the story, which, I think Gerber did a pretty good job of that in Howard the Duck.
Yes. But, and, Grant Morrison was out there with a notebook furiously writing.
Yeah. But I'm developing a real appreciation for Man Thing. I think just the difference is empathy. Mm-hmm. Like it's just Man Thing as an empath is so much, and Swamp Thing, especially as the character evolved, with his connection to the green that Alan Moore gave him, and the green and the red, and that whole, legend and lore that went along with that made the character really interesting. But I think if you go back and read the original Len Wein, Bernie Wrightson stuff, while Bernie Wrightson is unparalleled, like no one's going to touch his art, I kind of like the writing in Man Thing a little better.
Yeah. Pre-Moore.
Yeah, pre-Moore, of course. Yeah.
I agree with you. And another thing I liked about Man Thing was that it's a lens to tell a story through. It's a story framing device, essentially. Mm-hmm. So I do like that kind of novelty. I don't know like how to describe it, but I mean, like you're saying, like it's just him connecting with people and being injected in people's lives and what happens because of that. So like Swamp Thing, they're totally different, ultimately, but at their genesis, they seem very similar, but they definitely became their own thing. And yeah, the green and more completely reinvented the character. Whereas, I don't know. I mean, Ted Sallis is what became the Man Thing. I don't know. He's not really there anymore ever after he becomes Man Thing. So, right? No,
not really.
Yeah.
Not like Alec Holland was until Moore took over and did the
Identity.
Yeah. Oh God, it's so good. I went back and read all of Alan Moore's Swamp Thing again. I mean, I do every couple of years. I'll go back and just read the whole thing, and it's always impressive.
Oh yeah,
it's stunning.
Yeah, there's not a lot of comics I would say people should be reading multiple times, but Moore's Swamp Thing run is one of them. It was pretty inventive. Okay, it's time for some Where Mail. Dear Marv, Gail, and Tom, I have been waiting, and at last it's come to pass. Wolfman writing Werewolf has been my desire since I first glimpsed Marv's writing, which unfortunately has only been recently. Marv has become one of my 4 favorite writers in just a very short period. Werewolf by Night number 11 was controversial, to say the least. The characterization of Jack's stepfather was marvelous. That Marv was in caps.
Yeah.
Gil is one of my favorite artists, and Tom, one of my favorite inkers. You must keep Gil on Werewolf by Night. He's perfect for the strip. You could take him off covers and have him do only Werewolf and Spider-Man. Speaking of Spider-Man, Jack is more like Peter Parker now than ever. Marv is the best supernatural writer you have, so he must stay on. And Sutton has the werewolf style. I'd say you have yourselves a winning combination. Fumer, PMM Earl Loudenslager, Pelser, Arkansas. Response. Uh-oh. As you've no doubt noticed by now, Earl, Marv has had to leave the werewolf strip, since the love of his life, Crazy Magazine, which he edits, has been stepped up to 8 times a year. Or is it 7? Oh, well, it's more than 6. That much we know. But he's left the scripting in the capable hands of Iron Man's best friend, Mike Friedrich. And we think we've got an artist on WBN this issue who more or less has the werewolf style down pat. Agreed? Let us know what you think of this new combination, though chances are we'll have changed it by the time we hear from you. No, that's not meant as sarcasm. It's just that sometimes we get confused ourselves by all the author-artist switches on our mags. In fact, now that we think about it, which letters page is this? Who are we? Where are we? What year is it? What planet? Etc., etc. Oh, the
All right.
responses.
I don't know if Crazy Magazine was anyone's first love.
Yeah.
Even though I have to tell you, I don't know if Wolfman wrote it, but Ploog drew a couple stories for Crazy that I only have read the titles of on GCD, and maybe that's good because I think it's Crazy number 4 from May of '74. Ploog drew a parody of Shaft called Shafted. So let's just be thankful that that's not on Marvel Unlimited. It's very difficult to find. I think you would have to go back and find the original issue. Yeah, he did another one, I think, in October of '74 in Crazy 7. Ploog drew a parody of the Telltale Heart called The Tattletale Heart.
Hilarious.
So that should tell you all you need to know.
Who were the main writers on that magazine?
I'm kind of proud to say I don't know.
How long did it last? It didn't last long, right?
Well, I don't know. In going through Ploog's GCD credits, I kept seeing credits come up for other issues of Crazy when they were reprinting his stories from the original ones. So it went for way longer than you'd think.
Wait, it got to the point where they were cannibalizing their own stuff?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay, I thought that was like a 9-month mistake. I didn't realize it ran that long.
Yeah, well, remember, Not Brand Ek ran for way longer than it should have.
I told you not to bring that up on this show.
I know. I'm very sorry. It's so great. So, and the Marvel by the Month guys, they're in this era now where they're doing the episodes, and an issue of Not Brand Ek is coming out every month or two. And they've just stopped talking about it. They just will barely even mention it because it's so cringeworthy to go back and actually read this stuff.
Yeah.
It's so bad. Marvel's humor magazines from, the 60s and 70s are so bad that they should be forgotten.
Yeah. One of these letters in here, actually, you know what? There's 2 really short ones. So I'm going to read both of these because this one has what could have been an alternate sign-off at the end. So we're thrown in, and it's 1 paragraph.
All right.
Dear Wolfpen, please keep Tom Sutton on this strip if he's available for anything. Nuff said. Again and again, I've had to admire the device of the forest in the werewolf's thoughts. I've never seen a fusion of innocence and savagery so clearly put across in comics. And when it's illustrated by Tom with those nostrils, gums, and teeth, egad, exactly the shot in the arm that the moth-eaten image of werewolfery needs. Keep snarling, Jonathan Burns. From Raub Pahang, Malaysia.
Damn. Keep snarling. That's great.
Yeah, I like that. It's like keep trucking, keep on trucking, but
keep on snarling.
Werewolfery, yeah.
And werewolfery.
Yeah. Yeah, this kid's got it all.
I think showed up. I think that word showed up last issue, actually, and we didn't talk about it if I'm correct.
Well, then we failed. This whole thing was a failed experiment.
It was. We should have highlighted werewolfery. Oh, man.
So the response was, unfortunately, John, Tom isn't available right now, but you can rest assured that if you're going to take the time and trouble to drop us a line all the way from Malaysia, we're going to go all out to make each issue of Werewolf by Night better than its predecessor, no matter who's drawing it. Okay, there's even a shorter letter, and then we'll wrap this up. Dear Marvel, I've been recently reading Werewolf by Night. I'm not going to make this a long letter, so I'll get right down to it. I think you should make one improvement. Every issue of Werewolf by Night, you have Jack narrate the story. I think this is wrong because when Werewolf is in a jam, we know in advance he's going to get out of it because Jack is telling the story. Richard Nahn, no address given. I always remember that letter. That's an interesting point, that it ratchets down the tension because it's told in the past tense and you know that he doesn't die.
Yeah, I mean, I get it, but it's also he has his own comic, so... Yeah. Exactly. I think the only precedent set has been the original Silver Age Doom Patrol, which actually did all die. They were all killed at the end of the run. Correct. Yeah. So they said, interesting point, Rich. And though we've never received criticism on it before, and though we ourselves would like to maintain the first-person narration, if only for its uniqueness, we're open to comment and controversy on this question.
opinions people. And I don't remember if this rages on or not throughout the letters column.
I'm just going to assume it does.
Like the Hangman does.
It's just nothing but Hangman from here on out.
Yeah. So in other kind of media stuff, just to kind of, won't go too long here, but I did watch the Swamp Thing pilot on the CW app. And if you folks don't know, that was part of the DC Universe platform of programming. And they made one season and elected not to pick it up pretty early on in its run, pick it up for a second season. And so they released the rest. But yeah, it was already dead in the water, basically, when it was released. And I was bummed by that. And I was also surprised because I looked it up on Rotten Tomatoes and it has like a 93%, 97% from critics and 89% from the audience. So it did really well. I watched the pilot, which is an origin story, which I did not realize for quite a while. I naively assumed like this is 2019. Swamp Thing's going to be a thing. We meet a character, Abby Arcane, who is huge in the story. And I thought, oh, she's going to come back home and she's going to meet Swamp Thing. Whoa. And then he's going to like explain to her, they'll create a relationship and then he'll explain to her his origin and then blah, blah. But then we meet a guy who introduces himself as Alec Holland. I was like, whoa. So that threw me for a loop. But my initial impressions were I fucking loved it. I thought it was creepy as shit. There's so much body horror. Like the main element of horror is that Sunderland, what's his name? Avery Sunderland is injecting this agent into the swamps that makes like mutant growth happen, like mutates cells and stuff like that. So the swamps are essentially coming alive and it infects people. And then once it gets in them, their cells start coming alive. So there's all this body horror of like roots coming out of it's like a dead body with roots coming out of it. And it's just limp and like roots are shooting out of its extremities and it's just like walking around and the body's completely limp and it's coming out of their eyes. Like it's body horror central. It was creepy as hell.
Yeah, but it's so effective because, and I think I read about this, that there's so many practical effects going on in that production that I thought it was the one thing that I noticed because of that was that I think it's in some of the scenes where like tendrils are shooting out and are like going through the swamp really fast that are obviously, computer graphics. And that kind of weirdly took me out of it because before it was such a good combination of practical and computer effects. It's so good. Yeah, I really liked it. I didn't mind the different origin story. I loved it. I watched the whole thing when it was on DC Universe, and I need to rewatch it. But I totally loved it. I thought it was great.
So yeah, folks, if you don't know this, the CW has an app where you can, much like Peacock, NBC's Peacock, where you can watch all the stuff, but you have to watch ads. And one thing that bugged me was there was an ad probably every 3 to 4 minutes of this thing. So get your phone out and have Solitaire up and just take breaks because it's quite a long watch. But you can watch almost all of their stuff, like Riverdale and whatever. Nancy Drew, I haven't checked that out yet, but this one, they did mute the swear words and they put digital blurs over their mouths when they swear, but it doesn't happen a whole lot. But I thought that was weird, but it turns out they aired this on the CW this Halloween, and it just ended the run in December. So I can see why I guess they had to do that, even though we're pretty relaxed nowadays with language. But it is a teen. The DC CW world is very teen focused, so I can see why they muted that out, I guess. But
yeah, it definitely is not. It's not The Flash. It's not Arrow. It's way darker.
It is so dark. And I love that. Honestly, and Swamp Thing started as a horror title, and Alan Moore didn't necessarily change it from being a horror title, but he injected so many genre bending, medium, inventive things into it that it just kind of became this epic, legendary run that he did. And once Alec Holland was in it, and I was like, oh, they're doing an origin story. God damn it. I thought we're at that point now where you don't have to tell everybody's thing. But even though Swamp Thing's origin is pretty interesting. But then I was smugly thinking, well, then if they'd show Alec Holland, then they're not going to do the thing where they reveal that he was just a plant that thought he was Alec Holland because of the event, and he becomes the Green. And like, I was skimming down through the episodes and looking at the descriptions, like, holy shit, they do that in episode 5. Oh my God. Pretty fucking cool. So yeah, I'm totally into it.
No, I'm anxious for you to watch the whole thing, and I need to rewatch it. But that first time through, I loved it.
Very cool. Are you reading anything fun?
This last week I was kind of focusing on Ploog centric stuff. So yeah, I've been reading Man Thing, and it's funny. I had told you when you loaned it to me. I'm just like, oh yeah, I read this when it was serialized in the anthology Island. But I went back and reread Ancestor. What's that? That's Malachi Ward and Matt Sheehan, I think. Yeah. But goddamn, what a great book.
What was that published in originally as a serial?
Yeah, it was serialized in Island, which is this magazine. Really cool. It's like tall, square-bound issues. It's Brandon Graham and, my favorite, Emma Rios, who were the editors on that. And there's really cool shit in there. I think it lasted 13 or 14 issues. I have all of them, and I love them. I really cherish those and go back and reread them. But the one that stood out, aside from Emma Rios, her own story, ID, was Ancestor, which is so good.
Were many of the stories serialized, or were a lot of them just one and done little stories from creators?
There was a good mix of both.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a couple of the one and dones too. I was really blown away with. It was really cool. I wish it would have lasted longer.
Can you, I haven't actually reread it for quite a while, like a year or so. Can you give the elevator kind of pitch of what Ancestor is about? Because I think folks would dig it and they should pick it up.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's these. It takes place in a future where basically the internet is hooked up to our brains. Like they're hooked up to this thing called the service, which is basically they're online at all times, and they illustrate it in the book as like, from a person's perspective, from their eyes, and they just see all this data that's coming in from everyone else. And it's just apps. All these, apps and ads and what you're supposed to, conversation starters with this specific person.
Very Black Mirror.
Yeah, it's very Black Mirror. But it's really good. And so they go to this kind of compound of this weird, like, kind of cult leader guy who's figured out that he's kind of, made this experiment that's kind of taken human genetics to the next, not just the next level, but like, maybe millions and billions of years ahead evolution wise. And it just goes from there. But I mean, I don't think this spoils anything, but I love a story that, like, you're halfway through and then the next page says, 5 billion years later. So just like, oh, I'm all in. It's kind of like what the Immortal Hulk did, but this
with the World Destroyer of Worlds.
My God. Yeah. Not to digress, but goddamn, that issue of Immortal Hulk was just insanely cool. But Ancestor, But in the same way, Ancestor is brilliant.
Yeah, it starts off very Black Mirror, and then it takes this hard turn into Kubrick, 2001. I fucking loved it. It blew my lid off when I first read it.
It was cool to read it serialized because it does get it's very, like, kind of normal. And then, like, the next issue that I got was that giant jump ahead in time. And I was just like, holy shit, I did not expect that.
Yeah. Wow. People should buy that. I started rereading something just because I was feeling kind of like regressing and having a little nostalgia kind of thing. So are you a fan of Rick Geary at all?
I'm just not familiar as much with his stuff.
I'm rereading. I got really into those. What are those called? There's a collection of Victorian murders, and then there's like a collection of 20th century murders.
Oh, so yes. He did the, I actually bought
Bloody Benders.
A couple of those. Yeah, I bought a couple of those for my wife, Alicia. And we really enjoyed them. Sorry, I wasn't registering the name, but we have a couple of those.
Yeah, so I checked out virtually from Hoopla. a collection of 20th century murders, a compendium. So it collects the Lindbergh baby case and
It's like the Stanford White.
Yes, and the Axeman of New Orleans and one other story. So it's like a little omnibus of his stuff. And if you folks haven't seen Rick Gere, I think I first read him in Heavy Metal. That feels like that's wrong, but I swear I read him in Heavy Metal, doing some stuff. But he's got this very what's the name of the artist who did the morbid little alphabet books? Gorey.
Gorey, yeah.
Edward Gorey?
Yeah, it's very Edward Gorey, but also like a Victorian chapbook illustration.
Yes. So it's like Gorey is a launching pad for him, which is like basically what Tim Burton copied for an entire aesthetic for all of his art. But then he kind of takes in like this kind of Victorian chapbook and this very folksy, quaint, cute little drawings with these little kind of iconographic like elements to it. But he tells all of these stories about serial killers and weird murders and mysteries that happened throughout the last 200 years. And I think it's super charming. Because that's the best word for it. It's like it's charming. And if you like crime stuff, I mean, like the Lindbergh baby, I think that's fascinating, that case. So like
it is.
He takes things and he'll draw this very detailed little map of where everything happens, so you can refer to this map throughout the story, and you see the breakdown by time of the evening of the event, and he's super charming. So I just felt like kind of putting something like that on like a quilt that I knew I loved and just kind of regressing. And so yeah, that's my comfort read right now.
Yeah, I'm all about the comfort read lately. I have, and just like I've said in previous episodes, when things get really, really bad in the outside world, I just have to focus on what humans have done really, really well. And so yeah, I've fully regressed into great art, trying to maintain some semblance of sanity.
Yeah. Well, on that note, it was awesome talking to you this week. I had a great time. And I really needed a psychic break from the real world.
Yeah, these last couple episodes that we've done as shit is going insane out in the real world have been really comforting.
Yeah, same for me, man. So next week we'll be talking about issue 17 with Mike Friedrich and is it Perlin? Who's drawing next issue?
I think it's Perlin, yeah.
Okay. Well, folks, thank you for listening. We can find us on Instagram and on Twitter. Twitter's just me, though. That's not Jacob. Jacob and I both post on Instagram. But on Twitter, if you get something you don't like, that was a Matt thing. Sorry about that. But we'd love to hear from you. Let us know what you're thinking. And as always, if you have a review, share it with us. And we'd love to see it. And we'll send you some nice buttons that Jacob made at home. Till we meet again, neath the full moon, furry ones. Here's howling at ya. Also, keep snarling.